Hello and welcome to the Reading Corner with Mr. Wills. Today I'm recording from the office, so that's why it's slightly different. And we're going to continue reading our fantastic story, The Boy at the Back of Class by Onjali Rauf. It is amazing, and thank you so much again to Onjali and the publishers who have allowed us to record this onto YouTube. It makes it so much easier for myself and the children to access. It is the last day before the Easter holidays today. I just want to say a big thank you to our parents who have worked really hard for 10 days worth of homeschooling. It's been so overwhelming at times, the responses we've been getting on Seesaw and Dojo, so thank you so much. Now, because it's the Easter holidays, we aren't going to be setting any work over those 2-week period. However, if this video can get 10 likes, then I will continue reading the story over the Easter holidays. Okay, but that's your challenge. If you're enjoying it and you'd like me to continue, then drop us a like below. And if we reach 10, then I'll continue reading. Now we're going to be reading chapter 8 today, which is called The Unexpected Adventure. Now it's a really long chapter. It's 20 pages long, so we're going to be doing this one in 2 parts, two 10-page sections, okay? I hope you enjoy. So, chapter 8, The Unexpected Adventure. That weekend, I decided I wanted to ask Mum some more of my 11 questions to see if she knew the answers. I waited until Sunday morning arrived because that was when I knew Mum wouldn't be too tired and I could ask her lots of things instead of just 1 or 2 things. The problem is, I had to be extra patient because every Sunday morning my mum spends at least 1 hour reading the Sunday paper. It's not a real Sunday paper because Mum never buys them. She says you can buy a whole meal for the price of a Sunday paper these days. So instead, all week, she collects 2 of the biggest newspapers from the reference section of the library, and then on Saturday night, she brings them all home and gets them ready for the next day. She opens them out into the centre and puts them in order, so that's Monday paper on top and Saturday's paper at the bottom, and then folds them all together like one big book. It's too heavy to hold up and read 12 big newspapers in one go, so Mum always reads them bent over the kitchen table as if she's doing homework. I don't like to disturb Mum when she's reading the paper because she only gets to do it once a week. So I quickly finished my toast and milk and silently stared at her until she finished her breakfast. But grown-ups take an awfully long time eating breakfast when they don't have to go to work. And on this morning, Mum seemed to be moving so slowly you could hardly call it moving at all. I could hear the ticking of the kitchen clock getting louder and louder and louder, and my fingers and legs getting bored of waiting. As soon as Mum took the last bite of her toast, I decided I couldn't wait for her any longer and asked, "Mum, where's Syria?" The question made her look up straight away. "What did you say, darling?" "Just, do you know where Syria is, Mum?" I said. Mum pushed up her glasses and looked at me with one side of her head. Then she said, "Syria is a country very far away from here, my love. Why do you want to know?" I shrugged. "That's where the new boy in our class is from." "Ah," she said, nodding. "Okay, tell you what. Why don't you go and get the atlas book and I'll show you?" I nodded and ran into the living room, trying to remember where I'd last put our atlas book. It's hard finding a book in our house because we have so many of them. Mum loves collecting old books and reading them again and again and again. She takes the copies that are about to be thrown away by her library, so you could say we rescue them. The only problem is, we don't really have the space anymore because our rooms are covered with piles of books, even the toilet. The atlas book was big, and Mum always kept the very big books on the bottom shelf of our bookcase. So I climbed over the back of the sofa and crawled down the narrow gap head first to see if it was there. Luckily it was. I grabbed it and pulled it out. The atlas book is one of the oldest books in the house and is almost half as tall as me and just as heavy. So I dragged it along behind me to the kitchen and placed it on the kitchen table with a bang. I watched as Mum flipped to the index and then a page near the middle. "Here you go," she said, turning the map around to show me. "This atlas is a little old, but I don't think that the borders have changed that much." I let my finger meet hers on the word Syria in capital letters and looked at the strange shape of the country that the new boy had ran away from. It looked like a woman yawning and wearing a tiara and whose hair was being blown by the wind, except it was all pointy. "Mum, what fruits do people like the most that are from Syria?" I crossed my fingers and toes, hoping she would know the answer, because if she did, then I would know the answer of 3 of my 11 questions. I had found out where the new boy was from and what language he spoke, and as a bonus had seen what his country looked like on a map, and learned that he was good at football. "Well, let's see. I don't really know. I guess the same fruits that we do, and exotic ones like dates and pomegranates. Your Auntie Selma used to make chicken with pomegranate seeds. Do you remember?" I shook my head. "Ah, well, it was quite a while ago, but before your dad had to leave us. But I think the dish she used to make was a Syrian one. Or was it Lebanese? I can't remember. But here, you see," she said, pointing to a country next to Syria which had the word Lebanon on it. "Lebanon and Syria are right next door to each other, so I guess they must eat the same kind of fruits, don't you, darling?" "Can we ring and ask her?" Mum smiled. "I can ask her next time she calls. Remember, she lives here now," and Mum pointed to a much larger country just above Syria called Turkey. "It's a bit far and it'll be expensive to call her right now. But listen, we'll go and see her one day, and when we do, you can ask her and Uncle all about it in person." I nodded, but didn't say anything because I suddenly missed my Auntie Selma an awful lot. It's funny how you can go for long bits of time without even thinking of someone, and then suddenly feel all wrong because you realise they're not around anymore. I feel that about my dad sometimes. It feels horrible when I'm going to go to bed and realise that I haven't thought about him all day, not even for a minute. But I always remember him at night before I go to sleep, because that's when he used to tell me stories and do funny patterns on my forehead so that I got tickled. It's different with my Auntie Selma though, because she's not my real auntie, so I think it might be okay if I don't think about her every single day. She's my mum's best friend because they like laughing at the same things. She had dimples just like I do and always wears lots of sparkling bracelets and necklaces. She used to live 2 floors above us with Uncle Turgai, and every Sunday night she would invite Mum and Dad and me down for dinner and give us all sorts of special things to eat, like bread with spinach inside and a special kind of tea that came in a small glass that didn't have any milk in it. I remember the tea because Dad let me taste it once. It did not taste nice at all. But then, after Dad died, Auntie Selma and Uncle Turgai said that they were leaving because the economy was so bad. Grown-ups are always talking about the economy, especially in shops and at bus stops and on the news. And they always sound angry or sad when they talk about it. I hate the economy because it made Auntie Selma and Uncle Turgai suddenly disappear, just like Dad. They send us pictures of boxes of sweets sometimes in the post, and even though I like getting things from them because the stamps are interesting, I can tell it makes Mum sad. Now there's an old lady living in their flat. She never speaks to anybody. I don't think Mum could be best friends with her, even if she wanted to. I thought about my questions again. So people from Syria like pomegranate, Pomegranate, Mum corrected. Remember, it's like, let's see, it's one half of a pom-pom and a delicious letter E that you're granate. Pomegranate. I nodded and said the word out loud 3 times. Pomegranate, pomegranate, pomegranate. I love it when Mum comes up with ways to help me remember how to spell or say a word. Last year I had to learn the word conundrum for a spelling test, but kept forgetting how many nuns or n's they were in it. And then Mum told me to close my eyes and picture a man called Co and a lovely nun banging on a drum. And I've never spelt it wrong since. I thought about pomegranates and how they might be Ahmet's favourite fruit and how he might be missing them. So I asked, can we get a pomegranate, Mum? One what, darling? A pomegranate, I said carefully. They're a bit expensive. You can't find them anywhere these days. How expensive? I'm not sure. About £1.50, maybe more. What? Nearly £2 for just one? I cried out. You can buy a whole packet of colouring pens and a rubber for that money. Mum laughed. Yes, darling, for one. They come a really long way to get to our supermarkets. And secondly, a pomegranate is a really special fruit. It's millions of tiny fruit all hidden away in one tiny little small ball. You can eat it for days. Oh, I said, trying hard to think of what millions of one fruit hidden inside a ball would look like. She looked at me and smiled. Do you want me to see if I can find one? Shall we make it our special adventure today? I jumped up and nodded. But can we get 2? I asked. And why would you need 2? I think Mum already knew the answer because her lips looked like they were about to smile. I didn't think she'd tell me off, even though pomegranates are so expensive, but you can never be sure with grown-ups. Sometimes they don't tell you off even when you've done something wrong, and at other times, when you think you haven't done anything wrong at all, they punish you twice as much. Michael says it's so they can keep us on our toes. But I've never stood on my toes when I'm being told off, so I don't see how that works. I want to get 2 so that I can give 1 to the new boy, I said. I've been giving him my lemon sherbets and sweets after school, but he didn't seem to like them as much. But then I gave him an apple and an orange and he liked those better. And Miss Hemsey said that he's from Syria and that he only speaks... I hesitated, trying to remember what Miss Hemsey had said. Arabic? Mum asked, trying to help. No, Kurtwish. I guess I knew I was wrong though. Ah, Kurdish. I nodded. I see. I could tell Mum was interested in what I was saying because she had leaned back in her chair and had folded her arms. And I thought maybe he'd like a fruit he's used to having at home before the bullies dropped all the bombs and everything that made him want to run away. I stopped, worried that Mum would think that it was silly and maybe a waste of money buying food only to give it away. But she didn't. Instead, she said, I think that's a brilliant idea. Go and get ready and we'll head out on a pomegranate hunt. I got ready so quickly that morning that I think I must have beaten a world record. In 5 minutes, I had pulled on my adventure jeans and my old Tintin jumper, packed my rucksack with a water bottle, an apple and a banana, put on my wellies, brushed my hair and emptied my piggy bank. I had exactly £4.20 saved up, so I took £3, hoping that, just like my astronaut stationery, I could find 2 pomegranates that were on sale. What a fantastic chapter, and it's only part 1. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Join me for part 2, maybe, if we can get 10 likes down below. I'll see you very soon. Thank you for watching.